got Robert Landori. I just saw this. They said I didn't hear it in my ear. We got this guest holder, Robert Landori. We want to talk to you. Congratulations on your book. Tell us what's going on in the world of undercover money. I mean, it's unbelievable. Tell us what's going on.
Well, we're talking about undercover money, hidden money, and nobody really understands how it works, but it amounts to an awful lot of money. I don't know whether you know this, but in the world there are about 13 trillion, that's 1,000 billion transactions a day. Transactions being any kind of money that changes hand. You send an invoice, you get paid, that's a transaction. You go to a restaurant and you pay there, that's a transaction. Well, 13 billion happens every day. And this, by pure coincidence, is also the amount of money that is hidden in secrecy areas such as the Cayman Islands, etc., in offshore secret accounts that nobody has any insight into. Can you imagine that?
Well, your book called Havana Harvest is all about that. In fact, you were one of the guys down in the Cayman Islands that was actually helping people do all that stuff because you were a senior public accountant and a mergers and acquisition specialist. What I really like is the fact that down in Cuba, you were in solitary confinement for over 2 months because you were accused of...
that. You might have liked it, but I didn't like it.
No, I like that. No, I didn't mean it was fun for you, sir. Pardon me. I meant that it was just a really cool part of your book. I mean, your book is just riveting.
Thank you very much. Yes, I lived and worked in Cuba immediately after the Cuban Revolution for about 8 years. And I tell you, I saw the beginning and the beginning of the end there. But the beginning of the end has now endured for about 45, 50 years. Fidel has been in there for all these many years. But the interesting part about this Cuban thing is that the Cubans were always supposed to be fairly decent government people. And they did get involved, unfortunately, in the drug dealing business, and that's what my book is all about, because, unfortunately, again, they use the Cayman Islands as a base for shifting money offshore.
Well, we know all the bad guys do that. What astounds me is U.S. President, administration officials, and members of Congress. You're saying those guys have offshore bank accounts, too?
I'm not saying that they have offshore bank accounts, and I'm not going to tell you who they are because I don't know. But we know this, that all American administration officials, from the president downward, are targets for pressure. And this pressure often takes financial form. Look, let's face it, the United States of America is envied by everybody. A lot of people knock it, but it's a wonderful place. And the interesting part, again, is that all those people who knock it want to get into it. So what happens? They try to influence the administration towards their way of thinking so that they do and create policy that is favorable to them. Some of these people are very, very, very wealthy. Look at the oil people in the Middle East.
Yep.
Some administration officials have had very close connections, very, very close connections with Middle Eastern potentates. These guys, for sure, have tried and are trying to influence U.S. policy by bribing. Need I say more?
No, you don't. That's amazing to me. Now, is your book a novel or is it nonfiction?
Absolute fiction. The novel...
I knew the answer. I knew what you were going to say. I just wondered if you were going to say it.
No, the novel is based on fact. The novel is based... Look, here's what happened. I got a book in the late 90s, late 80s, called Case Number 1, 1989, and it was all about a trial in Cuba of a brigadier general whom Fidel Castro had entrapped into doing business with the Medellin cartel in order to earn some U.S. money. And he then, having entrapped him, he set him up for a trial. They tried him. He was found guilty, was accused of treason to the revolution. He got shot, and that was the end of him. And I thought that this was not really fair. So I thought that the only way I could right this wrong was to write a book which was fictionalized about the execution, the trial and the execution of Brigadier General Ochoa. His name was Arnaldo Ochoa. And I wrote a book in which he, or at least
Robert,
the guy on whom I modeled it,
hey, Robert,
actually became a hero.
I've got a hard break here, so I've got to let you go. The book is called Havana Harvest. Go buy it. It is a terrific Christmas present. Go buy this book.